First of all, good morning and congratulations to Majmoua. Last night, Majmoua and Youssef in particular received Women's World Banking's Excellence in Leadership Award. So we're very, very excited about recognizing truly remarkable achievements that Majmoua has accomplished in terms of diversity in their client base as well as in their management and governance structures. But this morning, we're going to have a brief chat. Remember yesterday we had Daniela and Selena talking with us about the human face of financial inclusion and the difference that having access to finance and some non-financial skills as well can make in a woman's life. This morning we're going to pivot our conversation slightly to talk about some really fascinating work that Majmoua is doing with the influx of Syrian refugees that have come into Lebanon. So I remember having a conversation with you in Amman at our last global meeting, and when the refugees first started to come into Lebanon, what was your rationale? How did you make the decision to engage with them when they first started coming into your country?
Well, actually it was really natural extension of the type of work we do. I mean, part of our mission had always been, even before the Syrian refugees came in, to work with any vulnerable population within the country, be they Lebanese or non-Lebanese. We worked with Palestinians, and we were present in the Palestinian camps, and we worked with migrant workers who had been in Lebanon and had needed loans or non-financial services as in training. So when the refugees started coming in and their numbers increasing, it first of all really sounded absolutely natural that this is the sort of vulnerable population that an institution like ours should target. So we didn't feel like there is a change in mission. It was maybe a change of scope, but we felt it was totally up our alley and we have to do something about it. In particular, that as we saw the numbers increasing very rapidly, the numbers of the Syrian refugees registered with the UNHCR stood at 25,000 in June 2012, 500,000 in June 2013, 1 million in April 2014, and today they're around 1.5 million.
My goodness, and against the population of?
The country of Lebanon has 4 million. So you can imagine the scale of disruption this is introducing to also, they're taxing the infrastructure, they're taxing the schooling system, they're taxing the economic systems.
And what was the reception of the host communities as you have this growing influx?
Excellent question. That's actually the first thing we did, because when refugees come in these large sizes, it starts to build all sorts of tension with the local communities. So what we did before we started working is to conduct focus groups with our clients, and we suggested the idea that we may be willing to extend loans to the new Syrians. And it was unanimous. All the Lebanese micro entrepreneurs were absolutely horrified. The argument was, what? We've been your client for so many years, and now you're going to fund the competition, and these guys are just coming in, and you're going to ruin us. So actually, it gave us a hint that I think it's a natural, normal reaction, and things do smooth down and calm down after a while. It just told us that we should slow down our tempo in the way we work with the Syrians. And actually, it put us in also a position to, when we applied for grants from the UNHCR to work with the refugees, we asked that the money is split 50-50 between the Lebanese host community and the Syrians. So that provided within the community itself a sense that they're not completely left out, that somebody out there thinks also about their well-being as they host Syrian refugees.
And your staff was Lebanese as well. What about that tension?
Very good point. The staff, actually, we spent a fair amount of time internally. Like we did the focus groups with the clients, we did internal work, and we also tried to we made sure that we had total buy-in from the staff for the idea that Majmoua is willing to work with Syrian refugees before we embarked on that. And not to my surprise, but it was pleasantly to discover that actually very little opposition internally was there, but quite the contrary, that people really identified with the culture and mission of Majmoua.
So I know you're providing a combination of financial loans and non-financial assistance. Tell us what the program is and what difference has it made in the lives of some of our refugees you're working with?
We did exactly two types of programs. But the bulk of it, unfortunately, had been on the non-financial services because it was funded by the UNHCR. And for them, I think livelihood and economic development is not really the top item on their agenda. I would say understandably so. They're into relief work and they really need to provide primary health care and the like, which is not at all our specialty. But we did focus on giving technical skills acquisition. We basic, courses like start your own business. We did micro-entrepreneurship, financial education, basic bookkeeping. And we're talking here mostly women coming from a background with very, very little exposure, if any at all, to economic and financial transactions or banking or any of these. So on many levels, that has become in itself a very empowering experience that these women have acquired these additional set of skills. And many of them were able to put it to quick use by building or running a small enterprise.
Can you tell us about any one woman?
Well, for example, we tried also, we were careful not to create or do technical training or vocational training in jobs that would compete with the Lebanese. So we tried to see if there is anything specific to the Syrian community that they would like to develop. For example, one sector we found was Syrian bread baking. They found that it's slightly different than the Lebanese bread, and they'd rather eat their own bread. We did fund a number of women to start small bakeries in which they would produce and sell Syrian bread within the Syrian community.
That's fantastic. That's great. Now, you've made a couple of sort of oblique references to UNHCR and humanitarian assistance. That tends to be assistance that gets very excited right at the start of a crisis and then maybe loses attention. Has that been the experience? And
yes, actually, very much so. I think first, just a week before I came here, we got an official letter from the UNHCR saying that they will cut the funding because they have received much less than they anticipated in terms of money needed to run the refugees situation in Lebanon. But it's been public domain. I mean, every meeting we went to with the UNHCR or other relief agencies, it was obvious that the donor fatigue has quickly set in. I mean, the first year, plenty of money, the second year, a bit less. And now that the crisis is in its third year, there is much less resources available to help which again to me highlights the need for us to intervene and help them with life-sustaining and financial independence to the extent that we can. But we remain, unfortunately, a bit limited because of size and resources available.
This seems like so much more of a sustainable approach to what looks like it's going to become a very long-term situation. So I think one of the things that I hope this group can help us do is find replacement funding for Youssef's program. But thank you very much for telling us this program. Please, we'll be rooting for you and do continue this work. It's such an important, timely matter, obviously, including here in Germany. And I think there's much that we can all learn about sustainable approaches to this refugee crisis from the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.